had him.
Well, then we might as well just keep
We might as well keep going.
I like that.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
I am very excited to say that National PTA, as some of you are probably aware, each year we have been blessed to have a board member join us and to give us some different perspectives from a different level. And this year it's our honor to have Dr. Datema. Is that the best way to do that? Is it? I see Potts-Datema. I don't know. I don't want to just call you Bill either.
No, you're good. Potts is my wife and Datema is me. So
gosh.
And we both hyphenated. So you're right.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, it's a pleasure to have him here with us today. He is going to be giving us a keynote speech and then also as well a workshop this afternoon on leadership, because the leadership piece encompassed a lot of what we all talk about every day. So with that, if you're comfortable, please, by all means, you've got the ability to screen share there, and however you'd like to proceed, we'll give you the floor. Thank you for coming.
Sure, glad to be here. And if you'd like, I can go ahead and start, and we can stay ahead of agenda. Or how would you like to make that work, Nikki?
Yep, let's go ahead and keep moving if everybody's okay with that.
We're
okay,
rolling.
Great. Yeah, great. Sounds great. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here with you today. And I'm Bill Potts-Datema. I have been affiliated with PTA for 45 years at local, state, and national level. I started out as helping to organize the second PTSA unit in the state of Missouri when I was a student in the student council. And as a result of my PTA work, I was able to go to college on a Missouri PTA scholarship. And I was also elected to the national board as a youth representative. So I may not look like it, but 43 years ago or so, I was a youth member on the national board, and that was my first term on the board. I have since been on the Missouri board, worked in Colorado State PTA, and I'm currently on the Georgia board. And I've been on, I think, 10 national committees now. I've chaired 3. I've been on the board twice, national board twice. So I have a long PTA history, worked with numerous presidents, probably 8 or so different national presidents, and have been to several states for various conventions. And it's a great joy to be able to meet with you in North Dakota. And also, I just wish I was there with you, but also I just really appreciate Nikki's work to set this up, and the rest of the board. All of your volunteers, I know what it's like to be on a state board and volunteer on a state board. And I know it can be a challenge, but it's also really rewarding to do this work for our children and youth in the country. So I'm pleased to be the National Secretary Treasurer for the next couple of years. And I, of course, focus some on finance, but also will be doing a lot of other activities as well in national leadership. So I want to share with you a story to start this keynote. There was once an anthropologist who was studying in what is now South Africa. He had been working in the village for quite some time. So the day before he was about to go home, he decided to hold a contest for the children to say thank you. He put together a prize basket filled with fruits and candies and placed it under a large tree. The man drew a line in the dirt near the schoolhouse and told the children, "When I say go, run to the tree. Whoever gets to the tree first will win the basket." When he told them to run, though, the children took each other's hands and ran together to the tree. They sat together around the basket and enjoyed its contents as a group. The anthropologist was shocked. He asked them, "Why would you all go together? One of you could have won all of the fruit and candies for yourself." A young girl looked up at him and said, "How can one of us be happy when the rest of us are sad?" Years later, Archbishop Desmond Tutu would explain the little girl's thought process by using the word Ubuntu. Roughly translated, Ubuntu means I am because we are. Tutu shared that in South Africa, Ubuntu is a belief that my humanity is caught up, bound up, inseparably with yours. The solitary human being is a contradiction in terms. Therefore, everyone should seek to work for the common good, because our shared humanity comes into its own in community in belonging. In short, a person is a person through other people. Ubuntu, I think, is a perfect way to describe pardon me just a second. The perfect way to describe why we all do PTA. We all come from different backgrounds, hold different beliefs, want different things out of life, but we seek the common good. And we work together to serve humanity. We see in each other the same love for our children. We see in each other the same need we need to belong. And we're one PTA. Isn't that so powerful to know that wherever you go in the country, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, Midwest, Southwest, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Department of Defense schools overseas, the territories, we're all one tremendous voice that supports and fights for all our nation's children so that each child can reach beyond the stars with confidence in their academics and their life. As PTA members, we're united with a common passion and a common purpose. How many of you know our mission by heart? Our mission's to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Those are not empty words. Those words are an oath, a rallying cry, a legacy that tells the almost 125-year-long history of PTA. As our membership campaign states, PTA is not a noun, it's a verb. It's something you do, and there's no wrong way to PTA. This school year, we will once again tackle some tough issues and will face significant uncertainty. We encourage all of you as parents and leaders to be steadfast in our shared mission and be flexible in your approach. Let's not lose sight of why you joined PTA and how our impact extends beyond our own children, their schoolmates, and even our state. As Helen Keller once said, alone we can do so little. Together we can accomplish so much. This is so true because where there is unity, there is strength. Here are 3 ways to be intentional in your service to your students, families, and school communities this year. First, we must do a better job inviting more people into our PTA family. There's much more that's much more than increasing our membership numbers. It's ensuring that diversity, equity, inclusion are part of everything we do as a PTA, which includes offering activities that are meaningful to our children and families, building partnerships with community leaders, and welcoming every family. When we do this, people will see the value in joining our wonderful association. We encourage you to use the vast library of materials from our membership marketing campaign. They are customizable to suit your unique school community's needs and will make the recruitment process much less daunting. Those can be found at pta.org/membership. Listeners, once we welcome people in, we must listen to their concerns. If ever there was a time when we needed to listen to understand, it is now. We need to silence our internal opinions long enough to understand others. Listen so we don't label people based on our own worldview or expect them to fall in line with our preconceived notions of how to address the concerns they face. Instead, really listen to their concerns while trying to find commonality where there is overlap in your community and within yourself. When we have listened well, we will not only be better informed, better, more well-rounded individuals and leaders, but our PTAs will be nimbler and more responsive to the pressing needs in our communities. It's okay if it feels uncomfortable at times. Stepping outside our comfort zone is how we learn and how we grow individually and collectively. Finally, after you've listened, use your powerful PTA voice. It is tempting when times are tough to keep your heads down and not rock the boat, but I urge you to lean into discomfort. Speak up when you see injustice. Our children need you to be true leaders. Don't be afraid to have the tough conversations and seek resolution when there is discord, because when you're willing to tackle the hard topics with compassion, incredible things happen. Perhaps some options that emerge that you never would have considered were possible. Remember that your grassroots perspective is extremely valuable, even essential, to elected leaders and school leaders alike. They need to hear not only the loudest voices in the community, but to understand every family they serve, that all of them have different needs and that collaborating with parents is essential to building a successful future for all children. These three pillars will allow us to create more supportive school communities. Nelson Mandela once said, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." We know that every student, regardless of their race, religion, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, ability, or socioeconomic status, can reach their full potential when the school environment is one in which they feel truly valued because of their identity, not in spite of it. Also, adults function best in environments where they feel valued too. Look for ways to support our educators when you can. These are trying times for them with no easy answers as they attempt to meet the needs of sometimes polarized voices. And don't underestimate your own power. As PTA members, we're the champions for public education because we know that our children in our public schools are our present and future leaders. Since our founding almost 125 years ago, one PTA has been the conscience of the country when it comes to the issues that affect children and youth. Let me raise one issue with you that affects all of our children and students. Our association believes students should have honest and fair understanding of how our nation's history has unfolded. And we encourage the implementation of diverse and inclusive curricula in K-12 public schools nationwide. Why? Because all children need to see themselves reflected in our history. By having responsive teaching, learning, and curricula, it will help build socially and emotionally competent children and youth. This includes recognizing and discussing racism, classism, and other issues in the world, these situations. This curriculum will prepare the children of today to be empathetic leaders as we all need in the future. One thing this never-ending pandemic has taught us is that our children need us now more than ever to be the loud and proud voice in our communities. We've witnessed our PTAs across the country going to incredible lengths to support our students. We cannot slow down now. Our schools and communities need to be the healers, the rebuilders, the community organizers. We owe it to our founders of yesterday and our children of today and tomorrow to create a new inclusive community to address the needs of a post-pandemic world. People often ask me, how do you PTA? For me, it's simple. It's about my why. My why is about our children, my own 4 children, and every child in this country. I bet if we went around the room and asked everyone the same question, you'd all have a similar answer. We do our PTA work because we've held sticky toddler hands, we've loved gap-toothed grins, and we've watched with pride as teenagers blossomed on their way to independence. We have wanted to give each one of them the whole world. And just as we watch each of those children learn and grow, They're also watching us and learning from us as we tackle these and other critical issues. We must remember to see our own humanity in one another. We may not agree on every issue, but we must always agree on doing what's best for our children. Every decision we make must be for their benefit. My PTA family, there are no easy answers to the questions and obstacles that you're dealing with now and will deal with in the future. But we are proud to say that PTA was founded to create the connections that enable us to overcome any challenge and make every child's potential a reality. As a servant leader, be bold, be intentional. Most importantly, be the best child advocate you can be. Harriet Tubman once said, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer." Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and change the world. Our children are depending on us to change the world for them. Please know that you're never alone in the fight. Ubuntu, I am because we are. One PTA, national, state, and local PTA together. We're ready to help you with training, resources, and grant funding available on our website, pta.org. Any small action you take this school year will be pivotal for the future of our communities. And we know we can count on you to do your very best. You're already doing this work in our schools and communities. Thank you for your continued commitment and passion for serving our families, teachers, and most importantly, our children. We couldn't do this without each of you. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. I learned a lot and I listened with a heart full of passion and thought, this is exactly why I do PTA. This is exactly it. People go, why do you do that? Well, this is the reason. So thank you for sharing that. We are a little bit ahead of schedule. Does anybody have questions, would like to visit with our
We have a hand up.
Do we have a hand up? I don't see it.
Somebody's hand.
Somebody's hand?
No, I was clapping.
Oh,
Well, okay then.
yay!
Thank you, Heather.
All right. Well, don't be shy. If there are questions or thoughts or ideas, please do take advantage of this opportunity to have this gentleman with us. This is wonderful.
Sure.
I love that PTA does this. And I love that it didn't have to stop because you guys can't travel either.
I do have
Right.
a question. I do have a question. Hi, this is Yoxim. I do have a question for William.
Yes, thank you, Yoxim. Go ahead.
We are going through difficult times because of the COVID, but also I think you brought up diversity, equity, and inclusion quite often. I think it's so great to be part of the PTA, yet it's so hard to recruit and retain volunteers to serve. So I'm just wondering, from your many years of experience, do you have any best practices how we could recruit and retain volunteers to serve on the, on the PTA?
Sure. Thanks for the question. And this is my opinion. I'm not going to speak, necessarily. In my experience, the best way to recruit and retain volunteers is one-to-one personal connections. And, working with people that you have relationships with, that do good work and can do a good job putting together whatever needs to be done for the PTA. I have found that some of the most lasting relationships that I've had within PTA have been people that either recruited me to do something because they thought I could do it well, or people that I have recruited for specific opportunities that were meaningful, that really kind of fed their soul as well as getting the work done for PTA. I think this work is very relational, and it's one-to-one contact, and it's small groups, and when you approach it from that standpoint, the small actions add up to a lot eventually.
I think it's a great response. I totally agree with that because we're all so busy. But if we mentor and coach someone and hope that it's not just recruiting, but they will stay, because I think as a new beginner, you get lost and we're so busy with so many things. My second question for you is this. Any best practices or ideas you have to make sure that we increase the funds that we have for PTAs? Other than membership, that's another good question. But in addition to membership, have you seen other strategies that people use that have been very effective in making sure that we have good finances to keep our local PTAs going, or national, in my case, it's national PTAs going?
Yeah, sure. And again, I'll speak from my personal experience. And of course, I'm secretary treasurer, and this is necessary at the local, the state, and the national to do the work that we do. I think, often, for instance, we've talked about this with the endowment fund. People think of endowment funds and they think of bequests, and they think of, the first thing that comes to mind is like massive amounts of money that some really rich person gave. And that's not really true of the National PTA Endowment Fund. It's been put together from lots and lots and lots of really small contributions that people have made over the years. And I think that people are more willing to donate at the local level, especially when they know that the money that they give is serving a specific purpose. So, for example, when I was in Concord, Mass, we used to live in Missouri, Colorado, DC, Boston area, and I've lived in Atlanta the last 16 years. But when our daughter was in school in Concord, they needed money for the playground. We had no problem raising an enormous amount of money for the playground equipment, because it was a very specific goal, and it was something that everybody knew was tangible and that they were going to see happen. So I think, to the degree that we can kind of personalize the donations and kind of help people see what comes out at the back end, that people are much more likely to give. So, connecting with the school, finding out what the needs are, connecting with the parents, explaining those needs well. I think those are really good ways to do fundraising at the local level. And those strategies work pretty well at state and national too.
Thank you. Thanks for the response.
Sure. Thank you, Yoksam. It's really nice to talk with you.
Anybody else have questions for our guest? Well, we have a national board member here with oodles of experience.
For better or worse?
Well, it's all for better. We learn what to do and what not to do sometimes, don't we?
That's right. It's either a success or a learning experience, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, gosh, I don't want to tie up all your time. I know you're squeezing us in between family commitments today, so thank you so much. Please come back. Everybody, Bill will be joining us again around noon Central.
I'll look forward to seeing you again later. And thanks, everyone, for your time today. And Nikki and the board, thanks so much for your work to set all of this up. I know how much work this is.
It's wonderful to have you. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you.
Great to see you. Yep, take care, and I'll be back.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All righty, it's time to move into